Welcome to the Thinking Man's Templar, the place where we say one red pill life, one life of freedom, one righteous life, far outweighs a billion lives of subjugation, control, manipulation. And where all the soldiers can come in from the war, remove their armor, drop their swords, and have conversations with like-minded men. And indeed, gentlemen, once again, I'm at your service. It's time for the monthly drops. I don't know if I'm gonna add music to this. This is kind of like a serious conversation, but we'll decide. I just want to continue. Thank you guys for all your continued support. I hope you're enjoying the throwbacks that I found. I got a couple more that I'm gonna drop along with this video, so we can have a good amount of things going on to talk about, to converse about. All you gentlemen in the chats that are created, that are communicating, don't be afraid to connect with brothers that are in your area, that are close near, that you possibly can link with, connect with, network with. I might make a chat that has to do with just your area, your place where you are, and that you brothers can actually meet other men like yourselves out in the world. I've met a few out in public, and some of them, and one of them is one of my best friends to this day, right? This video here is something that I've been contemplating on, and a lot of you men might be able to relate. And one thing I will always say is, when a woman is gifted the opportunity, the blessing of finding a righteous, upstanding man, it's a blessing, right? She's being favored. Now, what she does with that is on her, correct? Because the majority of the times we know that the average woman is seeking the deplorables, and she gets abused and used and ran through and treated like garbage, left with children, dealing with all of that psychological, sexual trauma that comes along with being, passed around pretty much by all her dating options, which are usually the same type of dudes. A lot of these girls, they silently grow reputations in the streets. We all come up in the neighborhood where we know everybody knows a certain girl that other men have touched, and she's become well known in the neighborhood for being, or in certain circles, like even in the athlete circle or the drug dealer circle or the playboy circle or the rapper circle, whatever. These men have certain women of that we even know on social media that they know, are familiar with, that she's an easy way, she's easy to get, right? And a lot of these women don't even know that they create these reputations, that they date certain type of men and they become known. They may not think it, but in conversation these men commune, and they can say, yeah, I used to mess with her, and they don't even realize that a lot of these circles are 6 degrees of separation. And then these men will trade war stories, and then they'll be able to tell the differences. Oh, she did that. Oh, she did similar things. Oh, she did different things. And they all have same stories. You know what I mean? Real men that move around don't take none of that stuff serious when they find out a woman they know dated somebody they knew, or they have a affiliation with. Real men don't take that serious. They don't get in their feelings and get butt hurt, right? They understand that's just a part of the game, and you play and you move along. You know what I mean? You don't get in your feelings. I got women that I've dated, even here in Brazil. If the other men chose to date them or that I knew, I would not care. I don't connect with her. I don't speak to these women anymore. I move on. I'm not one of those dudes who lingers around after relationships, hoping to, whether it goes her way, she leaves, or I leave. It's a permanent decision on my part. Once you walk out that door, it's done. And that's how most men operate. When a woman says, I want to leave, he says, okay, kindly, you can go. That's what men do. You don't fight, you don't beg, you don't get on your knees, you don't cry, you don't go chasing her down and then, you know, opening yourself up to her abuse and her manipulation, because she knows that now the power's in her hands and you become weaker. Right? But I say that to say this. When a woman leaves a righteous man's covering, she loses all of that light. You know, a lot of you men, especially if you're men that are naturally protectors, you know, if you're a good brother, that means you're naturally a protector of the woman you're with. You're take care of business type of dude. You get things done. You handle things. It's almost like a natural instinct for you to become, and I'm not saying a simp, but if she's handling her business, you naturally become a problem solver. You become the one who handles things, gets shit done. You know, even when it comes to fatherhood, you take on the responsibility of getting things done. You don't beat around the bush. That's what you do. A lot of you brothers, you know that you're good fathers. I know a lot of you men, in a personal sense, some of you know, have children. I know you guys are stand-up dudes when it comes to your kids, regardless of the situation with your mother. Some of you are raising the kids by yourself, you know, because you get things done. You got things done with her. She just didn't understand that, because I learned that nothing turns a modern woman off, the average modern woman off, more than you having a righteous point of view, you moving in a righteous way, you standing on your square. Nothing turns the average woman off than a man who's getting closer to God. The closer you're getting to God, the more the further she's going away. The average woman, no matter what she says, how she tries to put it, how she tries to dice it, the closer you get to God, the average modern woman is going to repel from you. She's going to avoid you. She wants to be free. You know, they are in open rebellion against the Most High. I've been saying this for years. So if you become a representation of that, she will run from it. She will find any excuse. She will use the smallest things and find a way to free herself, because she knows that she doesn't want to walk that path. She's in rebellion. So how she's going to get under your wing when you're trying to operate like that, right? So, but here's the thing they don't think about. That when a woman leaves that covering, she's opening herself up. You understand? Because the natural order is for a woman to get under the wing, the leadership of a righteous man. That's how it's set. That's how it's made. Now, if he's a provider, he handles things, he takes care of business. Now, despite his imperfections, right? Most women who have sense and understand that there's a benefit to being in this man's presence. Life gets easier. And I'll tell you one thing, I've always been a guy, even back in my simp days and even beyond, I've always been a guy who's about taking care of things, right? I don't like to wait for things to get handled. I like to do things myself. I don't want to wait. I've never had anybody lift me up. As long as I've lived, I've never had a woman lift me up. You know, do anything really for me. I'm honest. A lot of you men can really think of what any girl or even some of your wives or your children's mothers have ever really done for you. That was life altering, that made things easier, that offered you opportunity, offered you sincere help in a time of need. I remember dating a woman back in America, and we've been dating for almost 6 months, damn near a year. And I remember one time I asked her for some money because I had something happen and I was short on cash, and she gave me this motherfucking Don Corleone Godfather 3 speech on her about her money and when she loans money. And I was sitting there looking at this girl thinking, like, I can name a couple of dates we went on that costs more than the money I'm asking you for. And you have the nerve. That was the beginning and the end for her. I've never really had I've had a couple of women that I've dated that were, and a lot of you men can really, if we're honest with yourself, be honest with yourself. A lot of us have encountered good women, and a lot of us weren't mentally right. We weren't mature enough for it, and we lost those women. I can name maybe 1 or 2, maybe 3 in my lifetime. You know what I mean? And I never was a foul nigga. I wasn't never a bum. I never was a loser. It's just I always did women that actually tried to do things for me. You know what I mean? That made themselves available to be of service. It's only been less than a handful. And a lot of you men can attest to that. Like, what have they really done? You know what I mean? That really went out of their way to show, to do things, to be unselfish, to be selfless with you, right? But you've done that countless times. Some of you men have paid for classes. You've helped women with financial situations. You've done things. You've changed things. You've upgraded things. You've made their lives easier, and they still ended up back in the streets, returning to where they roam free, right? Because a lot of times that comes with her being on your program, and a lot of women, they want the benefit, but they don't want the transition to being on your program. They want it for the bare minimum. They want to try to almost manipulate men out of it. They want to trick men to give away that protection, that all of those benefits, but for nothing, for free. They want it at the cost of nothing, and you give everything. That's how a lot of women think. And even if they start off strong, they end up tapering off because they get comfortable. See, the average woman, if their goal is to do nothing, it's not to work hard, it's not to excel, it's not to reach and overshoot their goals. It's to do nothing and receive everything for it. And the average man, if he's smart, he can pick up on that, and he gets burnt out. He gets drained. That's why a lot of men, when they leave relationships, they're often drained and they're exhausted emotionally. That's why a lot of men, when they leave a relationship, they go right into the gym to get their strength back, because they become drained. They lose their moxie, they lose their fire, they get out, they become out of shape, their money is not where it used to be. They gotta rebuild. Even if it wasn't like a divorce, I'm talking about a regular boyfriend girlfriend breakup. He has to put his money back in place. He has to get used to having his money in his pocket again, and the things that he should have did or could have did that he didn't do, he has to get back in the mode to be inspired to do those things again. The things that she didn't quite approve of because it didn't put her first. And you got to remember how to put yourself back first. Right? And that's something that a lot of men have to figure out. But here's the kicker though. Me personally, I've never in my life, and we know when you leave an ex, or some of you guys have children with your ex, so you always know what's going on with her. Some of you guys just break up clean with a girl and you don't really, keep in touch with her, but because of social media, maybe mutual friends, whatever, you get updates. You know what's going on with her. And I will tell you, never once have I had a woman leave my covering, leave the light, right? because I consider myself blessed, and a lot of you men probably feel the same. Despite whatever you consider yourself blessed, the God, the Most High, you are not an evil man. You are not a bad man. You are not a man putting out wicked energy into the world. You spread love. You give out respect. You help people. You build people up, right? You have a good standing as far as, even if you want to call it the cosmos. You always try to give out good, even though you get shit in return. You're blessed. You get beautiful blessings, life-changing blessings from the Most High. So you don't need a woman to do these things. Most High always gives me more than I ever need. And that blessing, she becomes a benefactor of your blessings. But when she decides to leave, some of these women, they become so lifted up, so high by you, because they refuse to see the actual levels between you. A lot of women think they're above you, right? And the only reason a lot of women in modern times think that they're above men is based on the men that lift them up on their shoulders to where they can actually look down, right? By the things they do for them financially, the places they take them, the trips they go on. They actually they become delusional and actually believing in that they did it. No, you didn't do that. Somebody did that for you. You're confused. You didn't do that for yourself. You couldn't do that for yourself. You couldn't afford that. You couldn't afford that apartment, that car, that vacation, the jewelry, the bags. You couldn't afford these things, but a man lifted you higher. So the average man who doesn't have these things, who doesn't care for those things, he's beneath her. A lot of men, she's saying that while standing on the shoulders of the great men that she might come across. She's looking down on you from there, standing on their shoulders. And half the time, she's really just standing on a pile of the material things that a man is giving her, but she still think she can look down on you. But a lot of women don't realize how high you're actually lifting them until you let go. And they come descending back to earth, crash landing into like Lucifer when he got cast out of heaven. They actually fall like a ball of fire back into the fucking rubble. You understand? They really don't know how high you're holding them, how much you're protecting them from, how much of themselves you're protecting them from, right? They don't even realize that. How much bad things, that randomized bad things that you're actually protecting them from. A lot of women, just because of their routine around you and doing things with you and being around you, it's literally saving them from the world. The randomness of violence, the randomness of financial heartache, the randomness of losing things. A lot of women, they will have a job and they will feel comfortable at their job because of you, because they know that you will be there if everything falls apart. They will have an attitude at work because they know that you got it, that if they fall, you will hold them, while there's no one there for you if things fall apart. She leaves. A lot of women can drain a man and then be unattracted to the version of the man that she's left because of her parasitic ways. It's almost like the movie Venom. You know how, like, if the symbiote and the human being aren't compatible, the symbiote will kill the human. It can only be in the person for so long to all their organs, because it's literally eating their organs. It's devouring them. So by the time that if the person isn't a match, the symbiote will just eat them and kill them, and then has to go find another host. Right? But if it is a match, the symbiote gets stronger. So a lot of women don't even realize that you're lifting them so high to levels that they can't maintain on their own. And a lot of women that I've dealt with in the past, when I've found out things about them or I've heard things about them later on, it's never been good. It's always been a fall off. Always been a fall off. Bad things happen. They end up becoming single mothers. They end up with some abusive bastard that's beating on them and treating them like shit. I have never in my life had a woman leave, and then when I saw them again or heard from them again or someone told me about them again or anything like that, that they were better than when they left. They were worse off every time. Every time. They were worse off. In their delusion, they think they're just surviving. I'm doing my woman power thing, but they were literally falling off a cliff, crashing and burning, because the height you lifted her to, they get so comfortable at that height, right? They get so comfortable. You know, it's like if you were on a plane in first class, you're at heights that are just unimaginable without that plane, right? But you're sipping wine, you got your feet up, you're watching movies, you're comfortable in a situation that is completely insane to think about. A giant piece of metal just floating through the sky, and you're in a chair in the middle of the sky. But what happens when the engines go out on that plane and it starts to nosedive? You understand? That first class seat doesn't mean anything. Or imagine like this, even more insane concept. You're in the first class seat on a plane. I'm just giving you like a metaphor. You're in a first class seat on a plane, and then suddenly you're sleeping. You've been asleep. It's an overnight flight. You've been asleep for 3-4 hours. You're dead to the world. And then suddenly the plane disappears. And now you are descending, waking up out of your sleep, descending from the height 60,000 feet in the air. You're just falling. Think about the horror, the terror that you would feel if you were in a first class seat in a plane flying at night and the plane just vanishes and now you're just falling. That's what it's like for the average woman when she leaves the covering of a righteous man. It's like that plane just disappeared. It's like it just vanished, and now she's falling to the earth like Lucifer when he was cast out of heaven. Nothing to grab onto. And you know what she's falling to? She's falling to herself, to what she actually is and always has been. What she has earned, what she has worked for, or what she hasn't worked for. She falls into that, her reality, the ocean of her reality. Because the level you kept her from was from her reality, and that was 60. That's equivalent to being 60,000 feet in the air for her dealing with a man who's righteous and blessed. That's what that is. That's why women always try to have another guy somewhere, because they trying to find a parachute. You see what I'm saying? They trying to pull a parachute move so that she don't slam into the earth at 1,000 miles per hour. They need to find someone on the way down so So they end up with a lesser man. They grab him on the way down, and then he kind of lifts her up, but only to his level. See, right? Because you were 60,000 feet. You were first class. Now she's at a lower height because the guy isn't as high as you. He's keeping her from a reality, but his reality is lesser. It's not first class now. You know what I mean? But she don't want to. Everything these women do in most of their lives is to avoid reality of who they are. When they look in the mirror, half the time they don't like what they see. So they change it, they paint it, they add to it, they manipulate it, they put a knife to it and change it surgically. They pretend to be something else online, but that's not really who she is. The reality is when she's no makeup, hair, everything as is. They hate that version of themselves. They don't like it. So sometimes they will do anything to escape reality. And when you hear about these women after they leave, just know that she's closer to being herself than she was with you. Some of these women might have had a revelation and realized that her life around you would be way better and is always going to be better than the life she could give herself. Just off that protection. You know what I mean? A lot of women think about it like this. Just because you're around, the simple idea of you being around actually protects her from a lot of predatory behavior, right? So some women will go out and feel like they're free now. I don't got a man. I can go out and, I can go out and be in the streets late and wild out and do all of this shit and get drunk with my girls and blah, blah, blah. And they end up getting into some fucked up situations because they forget the randomness of being in the street without a man and his protection. They go out and get drunk and sleep with some dude or get in a fucked up situation or do, some bullshit that they're not proud of, ashamed of. They get in a fight. They get, some dude tries to accost them or sexually assault them or some bullshit that they didn't, that they love to play victim for. But it's like, God provided a means for you to be protected at all times if you're not living with your father. So now you think that randomized men are going to protect you. Randomized men that you want to sleep with, that want to sleep with you, but don't give a fuck about you, are going to protect you. Sweetheart, you got another thing coming. That's not how the world works. When they leave your covering, these are the things they become subjected to. All the wolves who like to go raw and not pull out on the first night, the third date, the fourth night, within a month, within 3 months. You know what I'm saying? And now she has a situation. But with you, because you're a man who had principle, who had forward progress, who had a certain way of operating, she never had to face these issues. She didn't have to go get Plan Bs and abortions and things like that. She didn't have to do none of that. She was on the fast track to marriage. You understand? She was on her way. But now she's back in this. I've never left a woman has never left me and I haven't improved. You understand? I've never had a situation where a woman has left me that I didn't hear from in the future, that I didn't see in the future, and they were trying to talk, let's keep in touch, let's da-da-da-da, let's blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Getting those text messages in the future or email, something. Someone through a friend saying, hey, what's her name was asking about you. They see me and I'm different. I look different. I move different. But I was always moving like that. You can't take from this. You can only be a part of it. But once you leave, this will continue on. And with more strength. This is how you have to think. There's nothing. If you think and if you concentrate on the things about you that are most important, that need to be maintained, whether there's a woman around or not. If a woman comes into your life and she leaves with nothing. See, sometimes you end up having a kid with the girl, or you know, certain financial things, and you might take a hit. I've taken hits before in relationships financially because of bills and apartments and shit like that. Never again. So I want you to understand that you as a man, you got to know, you got to recognize yourself. See, a lot of men, especially black men, they have a bad self-image. They have bad low self-esteem, you know. They're not confident as they should be. A lot of you brothers don't look in the mirror and are as confident as you should be. A lot of you brothers, let me tell you something. On the grand scale of attraction and how women see you, a lot of you brothers are more in shape than you think you are. You dress better than you think you are. You're better looking than you think you are. Your situation, when presented before women, looks better than you think it does. You're talking yourself down. A lot of you men go in places and women are looking at you. They think you're handsome. They think you're cool when you're at the gathering and you're talking. They're checking you out. They're talking to their friends. You know what I mean? They're giving you little looks and you're not paying attention because you're just that guy that's in the zone. You're that wolf. You're in the zone. You're not really paying attention to that because you move with your head down. You get things done. You don't really got time for the circus, the pageantry. You know? So you just move like you move. Even in social settings, you still move how you move. I can't turn it off. Even when I'm in social settings, I'm still the same kind of guy. Stoic, quiet, watching things. Now you don't see me joking around laughing. Like I might have a little drink and I'm in the cut. I might be walking around by myself. I remember I was at a big festival here. And all my friends were there and they was, partying, drinking and running around, chasing and I'm just strolling around the joint by myself, just walking, dolo, standing somewhere in the cut, sipping my drink, watching people, paying attention to things. You know what I'm saying? I don't change. And sometimes in that situation, you're not really paying attention to little things like that. And a lot of you men, you have to have a good self-image of yourself. You have to take a tally of what you have, what you've done, what you survived. And that will allow you to understand that you are higher than you think you are. Regardless of what they try to say on the internet, what they talk shit about, understand when it comes to face-to-face, in the flesh interaction, all that shit goes out the window. A lot of these women just talking the talk. They don't stand on that shit. You know why? Because why all these bum ass niggas got kids with them? Why are they pregnant by all these losers and dirtball niggas? If all they want is these, high level niggas, why they getting pregnant by bums? So clearly, y'all don't even stand on that shit. You know what I'm saying? You ever been dealing with a shorty, right? And you be like, yo, you might know about a dude she used to fuck with, and you find out like before you know what I mean? Not somebody you know, and you might see a picture of the nigga, and he might be like some bum ass, weird looking, funny, goofy nigga, and you start to you get turned off by her because you realize, oh, you fuck with niggas like that? oh, you can't fuck with me, Dad. You can't fuck with me. This is a major upgrade. I don't think this is gonna work. I've felt like that before. You know what I mean? I'm dealing with this girl going hard, and I see a picture of her ex. He's some nigga standing throwing up gang signs in LA with fucking, looking like a street derelict. Man, that whole thing just collapsed after that. I was like, nah, man, you can't fuck with niggas like that and think you gonna fuck with the ghost man. You bugging, right? But that's you gotta see yourself like that. Whether you single, whether you got a shorty, whether you got shorties, whatever you doing, whether you just in the grind mode, just going to the gym, working, and you're not really studying shorties like that. You're not jacking it. You just like, yo, I'm just gonna handle what I gotta handle, and you ain't worrying about it. It doesn't take away from you. It doesn't take away from who you are and what you stand on. Cause I promise you, they watching, they see you. You know what I'm saying? Women, this is how goofy women are. They'll let solid dudes walk right past them. You know what I'm saying? Walk right in and out their life. They think, because of their hubris, they think that they're gonna get those opportunities to be around dudes like you down over and over and over. See, what they get is cads and playboys and niggas who just like pussy and make them feel good for a spell and just run them through the sack a bunch of times and da-da-da-da, and then they get cheated on, or they get hit on, or they get, and then they move on to the next dude, and they realize like, oh shit, they might get a couple of gifts here and there. A nigga might take them on a trip just so he can smash in a nice hotel. Like, they really don't understand how skullduggerous men can be when it comes to shit like that. You know what I mean? He took me on a trip. He went there to go, smash you in the hotel. He wanted to go on a trip, but he wanted to have something to smash while he's on the trip, in case he don't bag nothing where he's at. So he told you to come, because he knew that more than likely you're gonna give up the butt. That's how it works. But they take these kind of little insignificant gestures, and their hubris multiplies that to way more than what it is. You understand what I'm getting at? So they believe they won, they believe they're winning, but when they were actually under your protection, that's when they were really winning. That's when they became almost better women. They were moving in the right way. Women are chameleons. They're different for every dude they date. They are different. They're different mentally. They're different treatment-wise. They're different sexually with different men that they like, depending on how much they like them and what type of things he wants to do. A lot of girls won't do certain things with certain men, but with another guy, she did it on the regular. And then when that guy leaves, she just resets it and goes by what you go on. You see what I'm saying? And how much she's attracted to you. So some things that a girl might say she don't do, she did with a certain guy. And she did it frequently. But then she gets to you, or she gets to somebody else that isn't, tuned like that, or he's not on it like that, and she will hit him with the I don't do that, I ain't into that. It's all one big grand circus. It's all a show. It's all fake. Right? A lot of you men are at the age, and you at the wisdom level now, to where you start to hear the same things over and over from women you deal with, and you just kind of nod your head and be like, they all say the same shit. It's really just the same hive mind way they think of. Before these days when men were giving brothers the game, they all just went with the same cut and paste rudimentary responses and answers that they gave men over and over and over, because men weren't hip to it. Now you all looking at it and you can hear this stuff over and over, and your red flags and your antennas is going up, because you like, I heard this from another chick. Another chick told me the same thing, just a different way. Like, they're all trying to, manipulate you the same way. So understand that when you're out there and a woman's around you, Like the levels that you are elevating them sometimes just by doing your natural instinct is so far above what they can do for themselves. A woman can make some money. Yeah, of course. She can make some money. You know what I mean? She could do some things for herself. But that protection, that's why they try to manipulate men as a whole, especially black women. They love to manipulate black men as a whole so that they can fill in those holes with strangers. You understand? Like those holes of protection, those holes of financial upgrades and certain things. They try to fill it in protection. They want you to be under this spell that, you know, they can have protection from strangers at all times in any situation, irregardless of what she does. She wants all of you guys to leap into the fight and fight on her behalf. Women that you never met, you don't know, nothing. And brothers get put in graves for stuff like that a lot. But they rather do that and offset that and put men they don't know in danger than actually just get under the covering of a dude that they married to, they got kids with, that he's gonna protect his wife and his family. You know what I mean? But they rather go out and try to subjugate and spellbind a whole generation of men that don't know them to literally jump in front of bullets for them. Think about how insane that is. That is insanity. The extremes are extreme. It's almost, when you really think about it, it's like mind blowing to think about. And a lot of you brothers can attest to this. You've heard about your exes. You've heard about things. Bad things have happened. You understand? When they left your watch, they think that because they can get another guy quickly and sleep with that guy quickly will fill those gaps that she's created. But they're not gaps, they're literal canyons. Right? That's why girls, when they break up after long relationships, they go into whole phases. They try to get and sleep with and get ran through by as many dudes as they can. They go back to quote unquote dating, which, as my grandmother used to say, is just code word for sleeping around. Right? They go back to quote unquote dating and all of the things that go with that. Right? Just adding dudes to the body count, all that crazy stuff. And then they look back on it, and then now they're a little more used up, a little more traumatized, right? A little more colder. You know, some of them might got a little situation where she had to go to the clinic. You know, go to the chop shop. Now a life has been lost in your dating. You understand? All that freedom and fun. But it gets old. See, because a man can leave a relationship or leave a situation or a marriage and isolate. He can isolate, not be lonely, but isolate by choice. He doesn't have to date. He doesn't have to do anything. He can literally self-heal. You know what I mean? Self-repair like a machine. And then he can go and do an assessment of the damage. Right? Like a cyborg or something. He can go to war and get out that war and make an assessment of his own damage and do self-repairs and improvements and be a better, stronger, faster version than he was before. Women don't really do that. They just fall back into the ways that they feel under the disguise that it's empowering and it's giving them freedom. I'm free of this patriarchal man, you know, whatever they want to say, right? But it's really just adding more damage, and they're not self-repairing. They're just becoming a more damaged version of themselves. So they have to find a guy who doesn't know what the previous version was, because he doesn't understand how much damage has been done. You understand? The reason why men can bounce back so strong is because they can self-repair and they look almost unrecognizable. You know what I mean? Remember how the original Terminator looked, right? And then when he took the damage, when he took the loss from Terminator 1, what came back in Terminator 2? The T-1000, a way better, stronger, faster version that was unrecognizable in comparison to the previous version, because of the improvements that were made by Skynet to make a better version to get the job done. You see what I'm saying? And every version after that improved more and more. You see what I mean? That's what men do. Men are like Skynet. They go back, they leave the situation, and they shoot. They get on some futuristic shit, go back and come back with futuristic ways of movement. It's serious. Because even when you think about it, even on a basic level, the Terminator from Terminator 1 was still far more advanced than anything in the present day. That's literally how men are when they encounter the average woman, even though compared to the future versions, it's basic. The regular Terminator cyborg with Arnold Schwarzenegger was pretty basic, right, compared to the ones in the future. But compared to everything in the present time, he was light years ahead of anything. Nothing could fuck with him. Nothing could hurt him. He was invincible, literally, damn near, right? That's how it is when you as a man are standing amongst these average women. You are like from the future, dog. But they try to talk you down because they're looking at you by the same way they would look at Arnold Schwarzenegger's shell that was on the on the turn. I forgot the name of it. What, the T-800, right? So they will assess you based on the shell of the T-800 that was Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? And think that you're just a regular dude, whatever. These bullets will gonna hurt you. We can do, and then they realize like, oh, it's not hurting this guy because inside was something futuristic that you don't even understand. There's a better version of me under all of this that you don't even see. You see where I'm going with this? And every movie after that was, it just, the version inside was even more dangerous, even stronger. And in the second one, the T-1000 just looked like your regular standard police officer. Just like a regular guy. But inside was some technology that was far beyond anything the present day human beings could understand or even defeat, almost, damn near. You see what I'm saying? And so on and so forth. So these are the things you have to consider when you dealing with these women. Like, there's levels that they just can't see, they can't understand, right? You're like the predator with the camouflage. Like, they can't see what's really there. They don't really know. So of course they're gonna stray off or leave or whatever the case may be and go back into the jungle, because they think those dangers are lesser than you. You feel me? These metaphors I'm hitting you with, they're gonna return into the jungle thinking it's safe because they can't see the camouflage predator in the tree. They think it's safer in the jungle than actually what is watching them, what is right there. They can't see the real version of you. They never could see it. They don't look through those goggles. Only certain women who are raised a certain way and didn't rebel against it. See, that's a key thing. A lot of women were raised in two-family homes who were raised under a certain guidance and leadership, and they rebelled against it. So when they actually got around those men, it represented what they were rebelling against. So it doesn't even count. It doesn't even matter. They're going to still move like the girl who was raised in the ghetto with the single moms and the ratchet shit. They're going to act the same exact way because it's all boils down to the act of rebellion against anything righteous, anything that represents God. And if it's going the other way, there's nothing good that can come from it. And y'all know I'm telling you the truth.